Pumpkins are so fun to grow, and homemade pumpkin pie is so delicious. So every year I grow carving pumpkins, seed-eating pumpkins, decorative pumpkins, and pie pumpkins. So pumpkins can be directly sown in the garden, or if you are really careful, you can start your pumpkins in the house and get a jump start on the season. So this is really important to those of us who have a really short growing season. We want to hedge our bets to get the pumpkins to mature before the first fall hard freeze. So today I'd like to share with you how I start my pumpkin seeds and what varieties of pumpkins that I like to grow. Now this planting method will work for all pumpkin varieties. So pumpkins come in many different colors and shapes, and the varieties that I like to grow are sugar pie and winter luxury for pie making, Jilby little for decoration, Kakai for seeds to eat, and racer for carving. Now we have a really short growing season, and I need to get the pumpkin plants started in the house early to make sure we get mature pumpkins before our fall frost. So I do cover the pumpkin plants with a frost blanket in the fall to protect the pumpkins from a hard freeze if the pumpkins are not quite ready to harvest. Now the other reason that I like to start the seeds in the house is because the mice will dig up the seeds in the garden, but if I start the seeds in the house and plant the plants out, the mice will leave the plants alone in the garden. So this hedges my bet again with the mice not eating my seeds. Now pumpkins are very fussy about being transplanted, so we have a very specific method to growing the pumpkin seeds in the house to get an early start. Here's my 5-step process to grow transplant pumpkins. All right, number 1 is the start time. It's important to start the plants at the right time. Too early and they're going to get super leggy on you and weak, and then too late and you may not get any pumpkins. So start time is going to vary depending on your growing zone. So look up your last average frost date and then count back 4 weeks. So for example, my last average frost date is May 15th, and 4 weeks back will be around April 15th. This is when I will start my pumpkin seeds. All right, number 2, planting the seeds. So we first need to decide how many pumpkins we want, and then we can figure out how many seeds to plant. So each pumpkin vine should produce 2 pumpkins. So I will plant 4 pumpkin seeds in a 3-inch pot. And what I am creating is called a hill. So a hill is usually 3 to 5 plants that are planted together. If 2 seeds out of the 4 seeds that you plant in each pot produces 2 pumpkins, then each pot is equal to 4 pumpkins. So the reason that I want to sow so many seeds is that things can happen to seedlings along the way, and I want to be sure that I get enough pumpkin plants to put in the ground. If I have extra plants, it's not a problem, I can give some away, but I can never get the time back if I don't plant enough. So by putting 4 seeds per pod and expecting 2 to come up, we are hedging our bets towards getting the number of pumpkins that we are wanting. So for example, I grow 20 Kakai pumpkins for my hulless pumpkin seeds, and I will plant 5 pots of Kakai pumpkin seeds with 4 seeds in each pot. This will give me at least 20 Kakai pumpkins. So I will do the same calculations for my other types of pumpkins that I want to grow. You can do this too to give you a general idea of about how many pots of pumpkins you will want to plant. So here's how I plant them. In the bottom of the 3-inch pot, I'll put a 1/2 inch of compost. This will give the roots a place to get some nutrients when the roots reach the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to fill the pot with seedling starter mix. So the reason that we want to use a seedling starter mix is because some seeds are sensitive to fertilizers and will not germinate if there's fertilizers in the soil. So it's just safer to start all your seeds in a seedling starter mix. Now we use our family secret seedling soil mix, and if you'd like to use the same mix, I'll put our family secret seedling soil mix recipe. It'll be in a link in the description below, so you can go and watch that video and get it. Now if you want to buy a pre-made mix, I would use Seed Starter Natural Potting Soil Mix. It's made in the United States, and it's what the professional growers use. So I'll put a link in the description below for you to find the seedling starter mix. Okay, next, place 4 pumpkin seeds on top of the seedling mix. push the seeds into the soil a ½ inch deep, and then push the soil over the top of the seeds. Label the pot and water it in well. Place the pots in a warm place between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the seeds should germinate in 5 to 7 days. I like to use a heat mat to keep the soil warm. The heat mat that I like to use is one made by Spider Farmer, and I'll include a link below in the description if you want to go check that out. All right, number 3, grow the pumpkin plants with a minimum of 12 hours of light and keep the night temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the pumpkin plants will stay in their pots until they are ready to go into the garden. We are not going to transplant them to another pot. They will want lots of light to keep them from being leggy, and try to rely more on the plants being outside for their light than having them under the grow lights. So it's really important to harden off your plants so they don't get sunburned. So number 4 is hardening off. You can start to harden off your pumpkin plants as soon as they emerge from the soil. So put your pumpkin plants outside during the day and back inside at night. And start the plants with a few hours of sunlight and then back into the shade. And then add 1 hour of sunlight a day until they can be out into the sunlight all day. And remember, we need the temperatures to be above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Also keep them moist as you're hardening them off to being outside. All right, number 5, once you are on your average last frost date, check the 10-day forecast. If there is no freezing nights coming up, you can plant your pumpkin plants outside. So you want to dig a hole in the garden that is 3 inches deep and about 4 inches wide. And you want to carefully turn the pot upside down and get the entire root ball out of the pot intact. Then carefully turn the root ball back over, place the whole root ball with the plants still together in the hole. Push the soil back around the root ball and water thoroughly. Now, if you have not hardened off your seedlings, you will need to do that now. So place a frost blanket over the plants to give them shade, and you can remove the frost blanket for 1 hour the first day, and then the next day you can do 2 hours, and then so on until you can have the covers off the plants for the whole day. You can also put the frost blanket on at night if the temperatures are below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if a storm is going to come through and freeze the plants, I would cover them with the frost blanket. So there's a link in the description below for you to get the proper frost blankets for your garden. Now, if you'd like to learn 3 low-tech frost protection systems for tomatoes and the frost tender seedlings, you can check out our video. I will put a link in the description below. And if you want to see us grow pumpkins in the garden, you can jump into the High Performance Garden Show. There's over 300 episodes for you to learn from, and it's free and it's online, and you can find it at thelivingfarm.org/high-performance-garden-show, or click the link below.